Unkind Rewind. Get to the chopper!
You know what you are? You're one of those little fancy lads, aren't you?
Link and I are cruising the mountain, bro, and we figured we'd squeeze a little juice.
Welcome, everybody, to another Q's and Tease episode of the Unkind Rewind. Joined here by my co-host, Sean McGrath, from looks like you're in your apartment.
Yeah, this is my view of my studio
Oh,
apartment.
glorious Manhattan.
Oh, glorious adjacent building. No, I actually have a good view.
Yeah.
My view is worth everything else. Worth dealing with a studio apartment.
You're pretty high up, and I still hear sirens in the background of your channel fairly frequently.
Yeah.
So you're not high enough to avoid that.
No, but you should be pretty familiar with that, having Adam Schwitters as your co-host on another podcast.
Sure. Yes.
I guess the sirens have toned down since his move.
Yes. Yeah. Although they're all going for Gus Fring, so it's Gus Fring lives like a block from Adam. The Gus Fring house in at least in Better Call Saul is like mere blocks from Adam, like 2 blocks.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I remember we were at his house in Breaking Bad, but there was more of his house shown in Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Do you fall down on one end of this fence?
Better Call Saul.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, Better Call Saul easy. I'm not that big a fan of Breaking Bad, but I think Better Call Saul's great.
What is not that big of a fan of Breaking Bad mean?
I acknowledge that it's good.
Okay.
I
like Cranston.
I actually think Walter White's a bad character.
Okay.
I think for the central premise of the show to work, you have to have cared about him in the abstract in the beginning for the changes that he goes through to matter, and he's too much of a prick from the jump when he's just a teacher. So I don't really ever feel any sympathy for him.
He had that chip on his shoulder that he never really got.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's not my top 5, top 10 kind of stuff, but I did like it. I'll fall on the camp on the other side of the fence than you. I mean, I think Better Call Saul is fantastic.
Yeah. But no, I think Better Call Saul's fucking great. Like, Better Call Saul, I'm a huge fan of. I think that show's fantastic.
Is it a top 10 show?
Probably not, but it's a lot closer to being top 10 than Breaking Bad is.
That'd be an interesting list. If you weren't allowed to shave off bad seasons,
yeah,
what your top 10 would be on a comprehensive scale.
1A, 1B are still Deadwood and The Wire.
Yeah, so it just depends on how you wake up that day. I'm going to get a different answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like could be an Aliens for me, or
right.
Die Hard 1 versus Pee-wee. 2 very similar movies.
Yeah, same difference.
About men trying to reclaim loved ones.
Yes. Have you been up to anything?
Yeah, I was out of town. I was in Hotlanta for my birthday, and then I've
happy belated birthday, Sean.
Benjamin Button, going back down into my 30s, which is great.
Nice. Yeah, Jackie and I are 28 now.
Yeah, you guys are great. I mean, such good skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I was in Chicago very, very briefly, for kind of a family wedding, seeing friends, that kind of thing. But we talked about that last time.
Yeah, did you have a beef?
I didn't have a beef, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me ask you about that, because we're on the heels of the Emmy nominations.
Yeah. Oh, did they drop today?
They dropped today, and I still can't kind of square that Bear is a comedy series.
I think
it's funny.
I mean,
Best,
is any comedy a comedy anymore?
best comedy
Is any good
series?
comedy a comedy anymore?
I don't know what are good comedies. I mean,
Exactly.
obviously, what's the last like? I mean,
No, but
Arrested.
think about Atlanta. You know, I think Atlanta was a comedy, but there were episodes that were not funny.
Yeah, but I would hazard that Atlanta falls more into comedy than The Bear.
Maybe.
I I don't know. You're okay with it? Looking at the nominations and going like, okay, Abbott Elementary is going up against The Bear for comedy series.
I mean, Abbott Elementary is probably the only actual comedy that was nominated.
Yeah, I mean, you should take a peek.
I love Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, and it seems a little bit unfair that it's going to go up against
The Bear.
the presumptive winner.
Yeah. And it's The Bear nominated for season 2, not season 3. So any of the divisive reaction to season 3, which I actually liked season 3, but
I've just seen the first episode. I thought it was pretty great. It's like a food porn montage.
sure.
Love seeing Joel McHale's character come back
Yeah,
as much as possible on that show.
He's such a fucking asshole.
Oh, he's so great. He
Yeah.
is so perfect.
He is.
What a great, like, when Joel McHale can really like surrender to that and not have to like ride the line,
Right.
not have to
Yeah.
play kind of like the bad
Just be
boy,
bad Jeff Winger.
just be Jeff Winter with no morality clause and doesn't have to like be the protagonist of a series.
Right.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. What a fucking monster.
So what, you murdered your way through season 3 of The Bear already?
Oh fuck yeah. We watched it
Yeah.
in 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
We watched
So-
it the day it dropped. We watched the first 5 or 6 episodes.
So not a movie podcast or not a TV podcast, movie podcast here,
Yeah.
but like what are the top 3 TV shows that people need to be watching according to Josh Dugan?
If they didn't watch Sugar, I think Sugar's great.
And yeah, and you can't drop like a Patriot or something like that that's been off the air.
No. Sugar was this year.
Okay, and that's Farrell.
Yeah, that's Colin Farrell. Yeah. That's a like neo noir. And see, that one's different because that one almost every episode's half an hour and is not a comedy. So
you have 2 more picks.
yeah.
It's hard.
If everyone didn't watch Shogun, they should watch Shogun. Shogun was great.
Great. You ever read him?
Really going off the fucking beaten path with these. Sugar, I guess, probably wasn't watched a lot, but
No. That's Apple TV and Hulu. So
I mean,
nothing.
I think Abbott Elementary is great, actually.
Okay.
I would,
So those are. So if somebody watches Shogun, Sugar, and Abbott Elementary, they're covering a lot of bases.
yeah,
They're really getting the full gamut of kind of genre television.
yeah,
You'd be okay with that? Of them walking away with those? Okay.
sure, yeah.
Well, those are the 3, ladies and gentlemen. So you
Yeah.
can.
What about you?
I don't watch
Enough TV,
anywhere
though.
close to be giving a. I mean, I like The Bear.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really believe in guilty pleasures for TV, but
Well, I don't think that. I don't believe in guilty pleasures as a concept, really. Like you like what you like. I don't.
So I do like watching Alone.
Alone's great. Alone's one of my favorite shows.
So
Adam and I have talked about Alone for hours on Munch My Benson.
I am as appointment viewing with Alone as it gets nowadays. Like I try to see that episode the night it comes out.
Okay.
So
I usually don't get to watch it when it drops because I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not watching terrestrial television.
Yeah. So I'll be careful not to spoil anything for you. But when I was in Atlanta visiting family, I got my hardcore level 5 vegan mother hooked on Alone.
My parents are hooked now too.
Yeah, but they don't get squeamish when someone eats honey the way that my mother does.
I don't think my mom likes all the mice.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ! And wait till they get to
Sam in
season
season 2, or is it season 1?
Sam's season 1.
Okay, yeah.
Sam went pretty far. Season 1.
Did, and then he won Mongolia. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. This won't make any sense if you go back because the names largely you kind of forget. You just call like the Oklahoma guy and the hippie.
Or the guy from Virginia who lived in Siberia.
It's a really great show to
Yeah.
like to bristle a little bit sometimes when you see actors trying to, make their moment on an emotional level. Like nothing really comes close to like a season finale of Alone.
No. When they are just melting down, and then the last one, their significant other comes from around the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. You really see the depths of human emotions.
Oh yeah. Yep. Because usually they think they're about to get pulled for medical reasons, and it's like, oh no, you've won. It's very rare. The only time that it wasn't that emotional was when they were playing to day 100.
Yeah, and he just knew.
Yeah, he knew. He's like, oh, it's day 100,
Yeah,
and he had enough food for a fucking another 2 months.
He might still be out there.
He could be, yeah.
That was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, a full-throated recommendation to
hard wreck, yeah.
Check out Alone. That's my reality show du jour.
Yeah. I suppose we have some pod biz to take care of.
Let's do it.
The month of Bulk came to an end last week with a second straight deliriously fun episode with Tasha Crawford from SVU Pod Especially Heinous.
Bulk.
I
mean, it's funny because I think another guest had listed at some point American History X as one
that's
of their
been on multiples, yeah.
multiple lists, yeah. So we may come back to like what I would think would be inferior Bulk in that performance, but we'll cover that as it comes up.
I think both you and I are a little hesitant to do that one, but
one of the only
But we also I think we both liked it when we saw it, and I don't know that we would anymore.
I think that you know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think we would not.
But not too many podcasts, ladies and gentlemen, are doing Summer of Bulk. Yeah. They're just not. Nope. That's why you guys come here for the truth.
But yeah, last week's On the Craft was really fun. Thanks again to Tasha for coming on.
Yeah, she was a blast. We should bring her back.
Yeah, and Gabe, we just got our list. I don't know if you've had a chance to look over it. It's very long.
I did. Yep, okay. I saw it. There's some gems. There's some bangers.
There were some real bangers in that list. But that'll be one of our season 2 eps. So
okay, great. So Gabe might not know what we do.
Gabe won't know until we record. Yeah,
until we are ready to rock.
And I'll get into that in a second here. But on Blue Sky, after last week's episode dropped, Gopher Balls noted every Halloween party for the rest of the 90s had 3 women, no more, no less, dressed up as the Craft, and they would get irrationally irate when you asked where the 4th one was.
Oh, goddamn. Yeah, they needed their North.
They needed their North, and they did not have it. The Southern Baptist Anti-Witch Action Committee emailed ordering us, without legal authority to do so, I might add, to cease and desist sharing a podcast episode extolling the virtues of the occult, though they didn't seem concerned at all about how fucked up it was that the Craft was teaching teens the right and wrong ways to commit suicide.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get an angry email from Manon, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
I loved, if you listen to that podcast, co-host Adam Schwitters goes like 110% on the pronunciation of Manon every time.
Absolutely.
He has a full course meal every time he says that.
Every fucking time.
Like, did someone take high school French?
He sure did, and he likes to remind me every time something French comes up on Munch My Benson.
Well, let me tell you, his high school teacher just is nodding and smiling listening back to that podcast.
For sure.
Adam loved dropping some Manon.
Yeah. He's got that whatever the glottal thing that he can do with all the friendship.
He's got that that je ne sais quoi, I might say.
Sure. So with just one episode left in our first season, I wanted to steal you, the audience, for the prospect of a few weeks without the podcast, to sort of maintain feasible workloads and keep scheduling manageable, and frankly, to make sure that we're not asking the audience to constantly have to watch another movie.
Well, they can catch up on your TV recommendations.
Yeah, or if you're behind, this is a good time to catch up. So we're trying to limit it to like 20 movies a year, which I think is somewhat manageable, and a lot of them you'll have seen. But you know, this if you wanted to like rewatch to have the same sort of experience, this kind of keeps it in check for you. It also keeps our workload much more manageable. I can't imagine having to do this every fucking week.
Josh and I watch a lot of movies that aren't for this podcast.
Uh-huh.
So
this has really cut into my ability to actually watch more movies.
I do appreciate those in season 1. How like surprised I was how many I haven't seen.
Yeah.
So I think you saw what 80%, 90% of these, but
no, I hadn't seen. Let me think. I hadn't seen Night of the Creeps. I hadn't seen. Fuck. Let me go to our list.
No, I have it. You want me to?
Okay, so I hadn't seen Night of the Creeps. I hadn't seen The Gate.
Me either.
I hadn't seen Return to Oz.
Me either.
That's 3 of the 10. But I mean, in season 2, we're already at, because we've recorded half of them, and I hadn't seen 1, 2, 3.
But I hadn't
4
seen,
of the 5 we've recorded.
I hadn't seen Hiding Out, Beastmaster, The Craft, The Gate, Firstborn, Night of the Creeps, or Labyrinth. So Jesus Christ, the only thing was Cocoon.
And you haven't seen next week's movie either, right? Or you hadn't?
I had not. Yeah.
So we've got about half of the new season in the can already. The rest of our guests are almost entirely booked for season 2, so we're pretty ahead of the game right now.
Yeah, Taylor. We have extended many invitations to Taylor Swift to come on and do a movie from her youth, and we're running
getting stonewalled.
We're getting crickets, but you know, maybe when she hears that slots are filling.
Yeah, I mean, it's seriously, we only have 1 slot left.
Yeah. She's probably gonna end up bumping somebody.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
It'll be American History X that she's gonna want to do
big time. Now things could change, but right now it looks like the next season will start dropping in September, so you don't have to wait too long. Probably about 6 weeks, I would guess.
Yeah, once the kids are safely in school and you can take a breath, come back to us. We'll be waiting for you.
That said, you can keep the discussion going with us on the Munchcast Discord. There's a whole Unkind Rewind section on there. You can also, contact us on Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, or our subreddit. You're lucky to you're welcome to email the podcast. Email address is unkindrewindpod@gmail.com, or call in and leave a message at 507-479-6440, and that message might make its way onto the podcast. As we regroup for season 2, tell your friends they have time to catch up and rate and review the podcast wherever you can. It sounds like bullshit, but it helps.
Also, they can just go to unkindrewind.com and all this stuff, including that phone number.
Yep.
Including that phone number that you just rifled off.
Yeah.
Unkindrewind.com.
Yeah. And the phone number's in the show notes too, so it should be easy to find. Now, next week's main event was like third or fourth one we recorded.
Yeah, like 1987. We did it right as the movie dropped.
Yeah, I have not listened to the main event at all, and I've edited the pre-interview with Adam, but I haven't. I did it ages ago. It's still, because it's so early, we still have the segments broken out at the end where I do the background and you do your thing. We're also drinking, Adam and I especially, we're drinking more. I almost never drink on this podcast, which is weird. But yeah, Adam and I were drinking, and if you want a leaner episode, listen to it. Don't watch it on YouTube. The YouTube one is, you can't really cut much out of it.
Yeah.
So
this was like the disclaimer that we can say is that this recording had to take place kind of abruptly. It was juggling cats.
Yeah.
And so the three of us having to all be in different time zones and somehow make this recording work led to a very impromptu, oh shit, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Which means that a couple of us had some adult beverages. I think Josh may have been pulling into the lead on this one. But Josh normally quite acerbic and very in control of what he's saying. Gets a little loquacious.
Yeah, definitely a little loose on this one.
Yeah.
It's also, you're seeing a lot of, because Adam and I have a different podcast that we do drink and it's really loose, and then we cut like an hour out of it. I think you end up getting something a little closer to that.
It's
I don't know. It's a lot looser.
I don't know what you've cut, but
I haven't cut anything. I haven't done anything. But if you listen to a Munch My Benson episode, the long ones, we really do cut like 45 minutes off and sometimes an hour.
Yeah, well, I don't know what he's gonna cut, but there was fat on this thing like a fucking prosciutto Parma pig. And
the main event will be cut significantly, but the YouTube is going to be untouched, basically. So if your means by which you usually take in this podcast are YouTube and you want a lean version, not a loose version, the lean version is the audio. So
I think
disclaimer given. Do what you will.
Take it or leave it.
Yes. Now, I know this first season isn't quite done, but this is the last time that Sean and I will be recording for the season. So I want to thank everybody. I'm sure Sean wants to thank everybody for. We
should tease what's different about season 2, or at least what's going to be different about what's part of season 2.
Right. So it doesn't take place until I think it's the 6th episode. Right? Yeah. It'll be the 6th episode. But halfway through the season, we are going to stop having the guest know what movie we've chosen from their list.
So the guests will normally submit a list of movies from their childhood, and that
will not change. But
that's still the same. And Josh and I, and sometimes Adam, come to a consensus on what movie we should pick, and we let the guests know, and they can get their ducks in a row and have things that prepared. Nope. They can't like dig into 10 movies. I mean, Gabe's list was like 20 movies long. Yeah.
They can't, they just aren't going to. So this will be we're not like trying to hang them out to dry. We really want it to be like, oh, I really don't remember this movie and I haven't had a chance to like look at it.
Yeah, I think the idea of dropping what movie it's going to be with them live in the pre-show is to get that gut reaction.
Yes.
Right. To really just kind of play on their memory, which is what this whole thing is about.
Yeah.
Their memories.
Right. So that little change should be fun. We haven't actually recorded one with that yet. We're about to record the 5th main event for season 2, and that one is
some weird
movies. Weird, yes. There's some weird stuff in season 2. I really like this one, but I'm not going to get ahead of it. Anyway, I guess we should throw to next or to the next segment. But yeah. Thank you everybody for listening to this whole first season. Our next guest is Adam Schwitters, who we've been talking about a lot.
We say his name a lot.
He is our next guest, and next week's film is Angel Heart.
I'd like to think that Adam is kind of the Manon of this podcast in some ways.
Sure, yeah.
Like he's always with us in some respects. Sometimes his presence is a little bit more known, but we always feel the presence of Schwitters, of Manon.
Yeah, but Adam's
Adam has a
very strange history with this movie.
If you know Angel Heart, then you know where we're going with this. If you don't know Angel Heart like I did, buckle up.
Yeah. When Adam told me the first time when he saw that movie, I was shocked.
Yeah, it is an infamous movie.
Yes.
And I don't remember. Do you remember how old he was when he saw it?
8 or 9.
Oh, Adam.
Which we'll talk about a lot here in a second. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
listeners. Welcome to another Unkind Rewind pre-interview. This time we're doing it a little different, as we are doing our pre-interview with Adam Schwitters.
Oh my God.
Dun, dun, dun.
It finally happened.
I don't know how often we'll be able to do these with us because of how especially I think Sean and I have probably seen way too many things that we grew up watching. And Adam having a kid now, that's probably going to start gumming up the works with not having seen things that you grew up watching. But Max is not about to see the movie that we'll be talking about with Adam. So
No, absolutely not.
So I guess since we're still pretty early in the podcast, there is a potential that our guests, or our listeners rather, won't know Adam because they haven't listened to the roughly 200 episodes of Munch My Benson that we've recorded together.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam, since not all of the audience knows you, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Do you want the long version or the short version?
Well, we can go a little long. I mean, you are on every week, so you're on at least every main episode.
Yeah.
We want to keep some surprises over the course of the show.
Well,
don't give us everything. Make it a little mysterious, Adam.
Well, the short version is that I'm a dad of a 3-year-old, and I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My family moved here over the summer for my wife's job, and since then I've been mostly taking care of them and talking to Josh on Zoom calls about Law and Order SVU for our other podcast that we do, which is Munch My Benson. Check it out, guys. It's on every available podcast platform. Longer version is that Josh and I have worked with each other in one form or fashion since May 2005, I believe.
Yeah.
We worked at a coffee shop, and then at one point we worked 3 jobs at the same time. Then we worked at a different coffee shop. Then we worked on a bizarre boat company.
Yeah.
And then during one of those, we got the bright idea to do a blog about Law and Order SVU.
Yeah.
That was a very low effort, low time commitment affair.
Much less
fun.
than this podcast.
Oh, God, yes. But it stuck with us, and we thought it was funny. So we're like, why don't we turn that into a podcast? And so Josh and I have basically committed ourselves to a project. It's almost more it's almost more performance art at this point, because we've gone from enjoying something to something else. And it's really interesting. It's interesting how our brains have been warped by watching as much SVU as we've watched over the last 4 years. Yeah. Can you believe that? But other than that, I'm in the process of slowly fixing up our house and various other aspects of our lives. And so I'm busy, but I am not employed, and it feels great.
Adam, do you think watching all the Law and Order SVU that you have has affected you in like little or big ways?
Well, I think it's made me very sensitive to propaganda because now I see it all the time everywhere. Basically, it's like it's the cop sense.
Something that may not have popped up for you when you first embarked on this.
Yeah, I think it was more. I think when I first embarked on this, for me, the thing that really drew me to SVU was the weird way it titillates like the old people that watch it, right? Like the whole point, I think, in some ways, especially early on, is to basically get grandma a little like uncomfortable with how she's feeling about the episode she's watching. Yeah. And that was the thing I was really into. And I mean, it still is if I would see more of those episodes. But I feel like I watch more episodes that are like, oh no, they're just fucking whitewashing,
Yeah.
crimes against humanity. And that makes me more upset. That's more depressing.
Mm. I wonder if just all the crime has desensitized you to when you were in New York and you were walking the streets and had to step over those bodies and past those tarps and cross those yellow tape lines.
You know, I did see a number of people just collapse in the street while I lived in New York, but I definitely deal with more abject deprivation and depressing reality now that I've moved to Albuquerque. That's for sure. Like a lot more.
One thing when I first moved to New York that I couldn't quite remember if I'd seen before was fresh blood without a reason.
But you moved to New York a long time ago, right?
Yeah,
Initially.
I mean, I grew up there. I grew up here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I remember I moved back in 2016, and I remember a particularly kind of gray day where I was like, yeah, I mean, there were cops nearby, but
Mhm.
definitely fresh blood. And like
Mhm.
when obviously, you grow up, you're a kid, you're rough and tumble, you're gonna
Yeah.
bleed, you're gonna be on the playground. Yeah, shit's gonna happen. But there was always like, you know, A plus B equals C. You never just
Yeah.
wound up on looking at a pool of C.
Sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's not that it wasn't the first time I saw it.
Now, and Adam, for your childhood, since that's kind of pertains to this,
let's talk about my
yeah,
childhood.
you moved around quite a bit.
I moved a
as
bunch
did
when I was a kid. So when I watched this movie, and for most of my my elementary school life, we lived in the Boston area. We lived in a town called Winchester, which is like basically just past Medford, if you're familiar with Medford. It's between Medford and Woburn in the Boston area.
Josh is
So
familiar with Medford, Oregon.
Yeah,
not
obviously.
wrong. Medford. Medford is where Tufts is, which is a well-known institution. Anyways, it's not a. It's like, how do I describe? So Boston is a very, very small geographical area. The city of Boston.
Yeah,
And
it's what 380,000 or something, 385, I think, per the last
population.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of small towns that in other cities would be part of the city itself. And Winchester is definitely like one of those. It would be, getting out towards the edge of the city, but it's not like a full-on,
Full-on
modern
suburb,
hellscape suburb. It's still inside the loop road.
It's Boston's too old, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so old. And like my town was was founded back in the 1600s.
Sure.
So, and it was small, and that's where I went to elementary school. And you could walk, like I could walk to, like, me and my friends whose dad showed us this movie. Like there was one of them was a year younger than me, and one of them was a year older than me. We would walk to school together, all of us. Like no adults. We'd just walk when we were like, I don't know, 8 years old, 9 years old.
Third grade, fourth grade.
Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of like a level of freedom that I can't imagine kids having in this day and age. But
yeah, I walked to school.
Yeah, but we had it back then, and it seemed perfectly normal. And it was great. It was a great little town to live in. We could get around. There was a train, so we could walk to the train and take the train into Boston if we need to go into Boston for some reason.
You three miscreant 8, 9, and 10
We
year olds.
didn't go into Boston, but like I would go with my mom. Or we go into Cambridge, because Cambridge is like, it's weird because like Cambridge is like as urban as Boston is, right? It's like it's not anything like a suburb. It's like the inner city.
Yeah.
It's just where the colleges are. So we were going there a lot. That's where I saw Buckaroo Banzai in the theater when I must have been like 7 years old.
Nice. Well, that is not the movie that we're watching this week.
No, it's not.
The movie we are watching is Angel Heart.
Jesus Christ.
If people aren't familiar with Angel Heart, and some may not be, I guess. And you haven't seen this in a long time, right, Adam?
I haven't seen it, and I haven't really ever fully seen it since then. I've seen parts of it since then, but I've never watched the whole thing. I watched this when I was 9 because my friend's father, Mr. Dodge, had all his VHS cassettes like Alpha. He had like a Dewey Decimal System or something. And we're going through it. He's like, yeah, you got whatever you guys want to watch. And we're like, what's Angel Heart? He was like, oh, you want to watch that? Sure, let's watch that.
Is this why your parents moved from the Boston area?
No, 100%.
That's why Adam's last name has been changed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyways, you know, I don't know where we get into like what I remember about the movie.
Well, we'll
but-
do that. We'll do
yeah,
that here in a
okay.
second. Okay.
Okay.
So obviously memory can be a little tricky.
Uh-huh.
So just in a few sentences, obviously, again, we haven't rewatched this yet, but
Yeah.
in a few sentences, describe the basic plot of the movie for the listener, just as whatever you can recall of it. Obviously, you
So-
haven't seen it in like 30 years.
To me, this movie is like a insane fever dream, and it stars Mickey Rourke, and Mickey Rourke is some kind of detective, and he's in New Orleans, I believe, because he's dealing with like voodoo shit. And I know what I remember it is that Robert De Niro plays the devil, and he peels an egg in the most fucked up way anybody's ever peeled an egg. And also, Denise Richards is in it, and it's not Denise Richards?
No, but I love that you thought it was.
Keep going.
No, it's not Denise Richards. I'm just blanking on her name. Why am I
Lisa
blanking on her name?
Bonet.
But Lisa Bonet, yeah, from The Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, not Denise Richards, Lisa Bonet. Lisa Bonet from The Cosby Show, and she got canned from The Cosby Show, and they started a different world because of this film. I know that much. But she and Mickey Rourke are banging in like a weird lit room where there's like chicken blood dripping from the ceiling onto her beautifully naked back and ass. I remember that scene, and I also remember another scene where there's like I'm assuming she's a sex worker, but a woman who's like, it feels like she's like putting on stockings for like half an hour. Those are essentially the scenes I remember from the film.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
the
the-
blood one.
Yeah.
But the plot is that he's just a cop on a case or something.
He's a cop on a case, but he's like
a
messing
voodoo-y
with
case.
black magic.
on a voodoo
Yeah.
case.
Yeah.
Okay. This is all new to me.
Okay. Have you never
Have you
seen
seen
it,
this?
Never seen this.
Oh man,
Oh, okay.
I can't wait to see what your thoughts about 9-year-old Adam watching this are.
I mean,
And I remember afterwards being like traumatized by this movie. Like I felt ill after having watched this.
I think
Are you sure that wasn't arousal?
It was a
Did
little
you-
bit of
did
both.
you not
It
know
was
what
a
it
little bit of
was?
both.
Like, was this?
I was
Yeah.
seriously, Josh. Seriously, it was the wrong age to watch this.
I think we're gonna need to find some type of phrase for the friend's dad or the friend's brother.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
the friend's sibling or the friend's parent subjecting a visiting child.
But okay, but the thing
Because
is,
this
he
is
didn't
not-
just do it to me. He also did it to his own kid, who was
No,
also
I
far too
understand
young.
that, but this is something. But just to like establish a boundary here, like this is something that would not have been played in the Schwitters household. This is not something that your
Well,
parents would have on the shelf.
Adam was
and-
the youngest, though, so
Yeah, it's possible like my brother would have. Like
Yeah.
my parents weren't really big movie watchers, so they didn't really give a shit about what we watched, and we would watch like R-rated stuff. I watched Revenge of the Nerds a million times when I was that age.
Do you think, even
and-
though that they weren't there, that they would have shielded your eyes or done anything like that, or would they have left you to your own devices with something like this?
It's hard to say because I think that they would have been probably shocked at how fucked up it was. I'm assuming because
they probably would have turned it off, I'd imagine.
Probably.
Yeah.
I imagine they would have.
I
but
mean, this
just
is
don't-
pretty. We're really like soft selling how extreme this movie is.
Yeah, it's pretty. As I recall, and like again, I only have these like flashes
Sure.
of like recall from it, but the things I recall are very fucked up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the movie is coherent or if it is the same kind of fever dream that I remember. But it seems like it would make, from what I remember about it, it would make more sense if it is like an insane fever dream than if they try to have a coherent plot based around, Mickey Rourke meeting the devil and fucking Lisa Bonet under the shower of blood.
So, what do you think you were like at this age, and did that change before and after you saw Angel Heart? Did Angel Heart
What
change what you were?
I mean, it might have. Like, it's entirely possible that I have a whole bunch of like fucking kink fetishes that are rooted in watching Angel Heart at the wrong age. You know,
The implication
uh,
there being that you do have kink fetishes.
I, I mean, maybe I need to unblock them. I don't know, but I
Can
feel
you
like
think of
I was a very normal child who lived in like in like that kind of like idyllic
Sure.
near suburb kind
Yeah.
of world where like it didn't feel like anything bad was ever going to happen. And then I watched this movie and I was like, oh yeah, bad things are going to happen. So maybe that, and then that was before like I moved, we moved to Texas,
Yeah.
probably the summer after I watched that. And that was, a
Again,
big
related to
change.
you having seen this movie, I'm sure.
Probably, exactly.
Your parents
Yeah,
had to get you
100%.
away from it.
100%. They're like,
Yeah.
far away as we can go. And then we lived in a place where I like didn't know anybody in the neighborhood and couldn't walk anywhere. It was lame. So that was a big adjustment. So yeah, that was probably my peak, actually, honestly.
Do you remember
It's
an
probably all been
explicit
downhill since then.
an explicit sex scene in a movie before this?
Yeah, well, so I think this is like you would call it softcore. It wasn't like hardcore or anything.
No, but
But I
it would
definitely
be
had
explicit.
seen Revenge of the Nerds before this, which had, some strong sexual content, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
that it's played for.
It's not played as like sexy as this is.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I can't remember if I'd seen 9.5 Weeks before
But this
this or
this
after
made you a
this.
Mickey Rourke fan.
Oh, 100%. And I've met Mickey Rourke, right? Have I told you the story how I met Mickey Rourke?
We should
Uh,
say
I think you have.
Should
But
I
it
save
was
this for the main episode?
yeah.
Yes.
Save that for the
Okay.
main episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have. It was everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we
Listen.
talked about it on Munch My Benson, but I have no idea what that would have been.
Okay.
So it'll be. Uh, what expectations do you have for your return to this?
Well, it's going to be weird seeing Mickey Rourke with like a human's face. That's
Yeah.
something I haven't seen in a long.
Mm.
Actually, I take that back because we did see Pope of Greenwich Village not too long ago.
Yeah.
And this is definitely the high Rourkedom, right? This is before he became whatever he is today. But that's always fun because I think Mickey Rourke was one of those like exceedingly talented actors who really went off the deep end as soon as he got a taste of fame and and like people praising him.
This might be
So-
the inciting incident.
Well, yeah, possibly. And then also like, of course, like, me, I'm a huge Lisa Bonet fan, even though I forgot her name just a minute ago, but love A Different World. I'm really glad that it took this to get her kicked off the Cosby Show and put into a probably
I
much
can't
better
remember.
place.
I can't remember if that's the
I-
actual. What may
We'll
have
look
happened.
into this.
I know. We'll look into this, but it
Yeah.
is possible. Just so listeners aren't screaming at their pod delivery device. It is possible that she had in fact moved. I think what may have happened is she had moved to a different world because she had like outgrown the Cosby Show, basically.
Okay.
And then she was on a different world for a season, I think, is how it worked.
Oh, and she
then
got kicked off.
She got
from a different
fired
world.
from a different world because then at a certain point, like they introduce Cousin Pam, and then they have to get Cousin Pam in a different world because I think Lisa Bonet was only on a different world for a season or two.
Right on. Well, anyways, this is far too hot for fucking Bill Cosby.
Yeah,
related
for
productions.
the
For the
convicted serial
fucking
rapist. Yeah.
It seems like this sex is consensual in Angel Heart. I don't want to spoil anything, but it does sound like we're talking consensual, conscious sex.
Well, I don't know if voodoo's involved. I can't remember.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, if
there's
there's voodoo
definitely voodoo
involved,
involved a lot.
that's
but I don't.
coercion.
Yeah, I don't know who's doing the sorcery, right?
And how have
So-
you stayed away from it? I guess this long. Just
That's a good question because it's one of those things that's always like been like it's a formative memory. Oh, Angel Heart. And I definitely watched part of it on TV, like probably around the turn of the millennium, but
Yeah. When
not
you
in a
would have had
very
cable.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know why it just hasn't like been like, oh, I need to go watch that again. I wonder if it's a fear of facing my own inner demons, the devil inside me.
I don't think there's
Uh,
any question on that.
Also, I'm really want to dive into how Robert De Niro peeled that egg because I think that might be the finest acting he ever did, or at least the finest egg cooking that somebody on staff ever did. Um, 'Cause it's amazing, Sean.
You
You're
know what?
gonna freak out.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen this.
Yeah.
But I really hope that we're talking about the hand model who did the balls for Bowie in Labyrinth. If there is a cutaway and we
I don't
see
think there is.
okay, but if we see egg peeling done by hands when we don't see De Niro, I'm gonna question and I'm gonna look up that guy. His name is like Marty Morgan or whatever.
And I think De Niro has one of those like Coke pinky fingers. I could be wrong about that, but one of the grossest. You ever go to like the checkout line at the grocery store and your checker's got that long
Coke
pinky
nail?
fingernail?
Yeah.
God, it's disturbing.
The
I stopped going to Aldi.
the Taco Bell that used to be on Lamar just south of the river.
Yeah.
Taco Bell there. I went through the drive-through once, and the fucking guy at the drive-through window had a Coke nail. It's like, oh, that's
Nice.
awesome. Chad's the one who clocked it, but
Beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, man. So I think it's almost like it's not so much fear as in like I want to protect the people that I'd be watching the film with from this movie.
Will
Maybe
you
that's
watch
part
it
of
by yourself?
I most likely I'll watch it by myself just
Keep the
because of
missus
of
pure.
logistical things. Megan, I'll just see if Megan wants to watch it. Maybe we'll watch it together.
I
But
mean,
it'll unlock a lot for her, I'm
yeah,
sure.
I mean, you're really
Oh, this is why he's like this.
For some reason, he's like is always slaughtering chickens around me.
The audience is in for a fucking treat.
It's
This
different.
movie is nuts.
It's really different.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I remember. That's almost the thing that stands out most about it is that they don't make movies like that.
Nope.
Just in general, they don't make movies like that. And I just really got to hand it to Mr. Dodge for like gleefully leaning into letting us watch that when we were far too young. Because like the oldest,
Just outed him on the podcast, Adam.
yeah. But like his oldest kid was 10, and I think he was either 9 or 10, and I was either 8 or 9. And I don't remember if it was just the two of us or if the younger one watched too. Anyways, I hope they're doing okay because God knows what's going on with them.
I'm so nervous about this.
I'm jazzed. I think this is gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. I mean, like it's a great cast. Like just like we're talking about the three top billed actors. Like you can't complain. Lisa Bonet, like peak Lisa Bonet.
I thought you were gonna say the three top billed actors are the three top actors of all time.
I mean, like Mickey Rourke is really fucking good when he's good.
Yeah.
Totally
agree.
And that was back at his heyday. That was
this
absolutely.
is what, 80s. Is this 87, 88?
Something like that. Robert De Niro, fan fucking tastic in this. Like, he's not quite at the like old De Niro. He's kind of in like a, it's definitely like post peak De Niro, but pre like he doesn't become a caricature as bad as Pacino, but still he has like the like old De Niro character, that he does. And it's kind of a little before he's doing that. He's still able.
It's well before him doing that. He's still
he's still like doing different
work.
roles. Yeah. I think of Heat as being the ultimate like great actors way past their peak film, right? And all of them are just doing the thing that they do when they're very old and no longer good.
Now, for the audience at home, that's the not good Heat that Michael Mann directed, not the good Heat that has Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's still a
for
pretty
the-
good. It's
For the
it's still
four
a-
people who needed that distinction.
it's still a pretty good movie. But yeah, it is sad to see like, oh, this is like probably the last time I'll see Val Kilmer while he still has his own voice box. And oh, except for that Bob Dylan movie. Holy shit! Did you see that? What the fuck was that?
No, not that, dude. Bad Lieutenant
What?
Port of Call, New Orleans.
That's true. That's true. He was fantastic in Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans.
Yeah.
But man. Anyways,
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll release the audience to their corner where they can watch this and be horrified that a prepubescent Adam Schwitters saw this
Dude.
movie.
well, like we were talking about Cannibal Holocaust the other day, Josh, and like how upsetting it is to watch that, and especially since like, oh, that turtle got butchered on screen, like they did that to that turtle. The other stuff, they didn't like eat people or impale them on spikes or anything, but still, very upsetting film. I just am shocked that there's no human or animal rights groups up in arms about the production of Angel Heart.
Yeah.
Maybe there are. We'll do a little bit more research.
Yeah,
before
we'll certainly get to the bottom of that next week. All right.
God help us. God help us all. Adam, you might owe me a favor at the end of this.
We'll see. Josh is really the one pushing for us doing this episode, so it's Josh.
Absolutely. And if you had seen Possession at an age that was too young and hadn't seen it in forever, Sean, I would absolutely be pushing for that too.
Yeah,
I love Possession, but
I love that movie.
it's an alienating movie for sure.
Pun intended.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
My brain knew it. My mouth did not.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I gotta go pick up a couple gallons of milk.
All right. We'll see everybody next week. Hopefully you've not been thoroughly traumatized by the thing that probably traumatized Adam.
Don't watch this at work, guys. Okay.
Yeah, this is
NSFW.
this is not a movie you pop on a plane.
Yeah. Well, I would posit that it is, but that's because I think it's awesome when people do that. You've just listened to another installment of the Unkind Rewind podcast, mining and potentially ruining your childhood for content, one film at a time. Unkind Rewind is a Munchcast production and can be ingested wherever you listen to podcasts and on the Unkind Rewind YouTube channel. Music for this and every other episode of Unkind Rewind was composed by Divorcio Suave. Rate and review Unkind Rewind on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, Yelp, IMDb, Consumer Reports, Google Reviews, and TripAdvisor. Links to all of our social media accounts are in our show notes, but you'll find us as @UnkindRewindPod on nearly every social media platform that makes sense. If you had a question, concern, complaint, or positive feedback, you can email the podcast at unkindrewindpod@gmail.com, or you can join the lively Munchcast Discord to discuss this or any other episode of the Unkind Rewind with like-minded people. This dialogue with the pod may just make it into the next week's ep, so chat away. The Unkind Rewind Patreon will be coming soon, so start squirreling that pocket change away. Thank you for listening to another Unkind Rewind.